Welcome to week 8 of Pelusi's Pick'eEm. I'm Julianne Pelusi with Alan Saunders. Alan, great to have you back this week after a little bit of a Thursday night stinker, if you will, for the Steelers last week.
Julie, I pick every NFL game every week, and I'm in a group with Chris Carter, the Locked On Steelers podcast.
Yeah.
I got every game right last week except for one, and that was the team I cover. That was the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow, that's
So
impressive, though. We
hey, it
needed
was
you on the
great.
show last week. Joe Morrison did an awesome job filling in. Loved having him on the show. And again, you can catch him Wednesday nights on Steelers Night Shift. But Alan, we needed those picks last week. Our props were hitting last week. I'll tell you what. But Job kind of saw this whole Bengals thing coming. So it was good to have him on there. The Steelers historically bad on Thursday nights against divisional opponents with Mike Tomlin. So, but come on.
Yeah, that's hey, if that trend though, if you were into that trend, I've got a couple for you this week. We'll get to a little bit later on when we talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers that I think you may be very interested in.
Sounds great. I can't wait to hear them. Well, let's get into the picks for this week. We have the Steelers, another primetime game against the Green Bay Packers, Sunday Night Football. And I am loving a Jaylen Warren anytime TD. He's not the top ranked guy for once this week. This is at plus 125. I think that he is due for it. And Alan, I think that the Steelers are going to need to go run heavy in this game to kind of mitigate some of the risk of Michael Parsons blowing this thing up.
It's really hard to believe, as good as Jaylen Warren has been, that he has just one touchdown this year.
Yeah.
And it's a receiving touchdown. He doesn't have a rushing touchdown all year. I thought he was the best player on the field for the Steelers against the Bengals on Thursday night. And if they had just given him the ball a little bit more, maybe they come out of there with a win. There's 2 interceptions, throwing the ball when they probably did not need to be throwing the ball. Certainly not downfield. Ended up biting them. Well, that and their complete inability to cover Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But you're not going to get me off of any Jaylen Warren prop pretty much ever. I like this. I like them all. In fact, I think even his receiving prop is usually very approachable. Again, at 20.5, I'm a big fan of over that. Really, he can do that in one catch some games. And so I don't think you can go too heavy with Jaylen Warren in this game.
I like that too. I always like his receiving props, but also this week, just because I think the Steelers are going to have to go so run heavy, I like the over of 14.5 rushing attempts for Jaylen Warren this week. So I am loving that. And I got to tell you, Alan, our props were really hitting last week. We gave you that Jonnu Smith anytime TD. You got that right out of the gate. I hit DraftKings this week and did well, I will say. So I combined that parlay. Remember, I said I hate parlays, but we put together a Kenny Gainwell over 2 receptions and a Jamar Chase anytime touchdown. And that paid off.
There you go.
It felt like low risk to me. So if you're listening to anything this week, listen to the prop bets. But I think Alan clearly has shown that last week he had some real gems in the NFL overall. Also this week, I'm really liking Jordan Love over 36.5 for the longest completion. I think that this one's kind of a no-brainer. It feels like free money to me. There's such a high rate on explosive plays for the Packers, and the Steelers let them up. They let up those explosive plays. So I love that one for this week. What do you think?
I do like it. I wonder what the adjustment is going to be for the Steelers secondary. Obviously, they can't continue to live the way they did against the Bengals. But I don't know. I think if they fall back on some of their older, like they didn't run very much of what I call their kind of old school cover 3 defense, where it's a lot of like, hey, there's guys wide open underneath. You can pretty much hit them whenever you want, but you can't get them deep. I wonder if they may go back to that and just sort of feed those underneath stuff that they weren't covering anyway, and just say, okay, but you're not going to get the big play on us. I don't know. I can see that happening. I could see them deciding to try to just limit the big play and let, especially Dontavian Wicks, who's
Yeah.
Green Bay's kind of best separator underneath. He's not going to be in this game anyway, I don't think. I don't know. I could kind of see them go. I'll tell you the Jordan Love one that I love.
Okay.
Over 11.5 rushing yards. They gave up more than that to Joe Flacco. Like, come on. Like, I don't know how we're like, and he does
How
get
is
rid of
that
the ball
so
very,
low?
I love that he does get rid of the ball very well, but you assume the Steelers are going to come after him. There'll be some scramble situations. I think he can pretty easily go over 11.5.
I like that one too. So I'm loving that. Good call on the Jordan Love prop there. We're going to move into start sit 'em, and we were just talking before the show, Alan. It seems like this is going to be a really big week for DK Metcalf.
Yeah, Green Bay dead last in intermediate passing against. So that's like 10 to 20 yards downfield. That feels like where DK Metcalf has been eating lately, finding some of those outside one-on-one opportunities as teams have more frequently rolled a second safety down in the box to deal with the running game, Jaylen Warren, and also just the additional heavy personnel. You get Darnell Washington out there, you get Spencer Anderson out there. Teams feel like they need more defenders in the box, and that sets up DK one-on-one on the outside. There's rarely a week where I think DK Metcalf is anything other than a must play, but I think you should feel really excited about getting him to your lineup this week.
If you have Calvin Austin on your team, I want to hear from you, Alan, what you've been seeing from him at practice this week.
Yeah, he will play this week. I feel very confident in that, coming back from that shoulder injury. The real question is, how much are they going to have him do, And Calvin's a little guy who makes a lot of his money going and doing non-little guy things. He goes over the middle. He takes, jet sweeps and isn't afraid to get hit. Will they give him his full role in his first week back from injury, or is it going to be this kind of hybrid thing where, yeah, he's playing, but I'm always wary of guys coming back from injury. I would probably, especially considering Calvin Austin is not a big fantasy player in general, not somebody you're probably like itching to start all the time anyway. I would be hesitant about him, not just him, Christian Watson on the other side too. Anybody coming back from an injury, I'm always very wary of what that first week is going to look like.
That's my sit for the Packers side of the ball as well. My start is going to be Tucker Kraft at tight end. I think the Steelers have a little bit of a weakness there, and Jordan Love is going to be able to exploit that with Kraft this week.
Yeah, give a touchdown to Noah Fant. Also had an explosive play and beat Jack Sawyer down the sideline. Of all of the things, that one kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and certainly they need to be much better against the run. They need to defend in the secondary better. That one, don't lose sight of that one either, and I think that's easy to do. They have been poor against tight end all year. I do like that one.
All right, let's get to some of the games this week before we talk about our final pick for Steelers and Packers. So we saw what the Bengals are capable of with Joe Flacco this week. Is that a one-off? I don't think so. I think that this passing game is unleashed, and they're playing the Jets this week. They're a 6.5-point favorite, though. I don't know exactly where to go with this, but my gut tells me that the Bengals have tapped into something pretty good here, and the Jets are just a mess.
The Jets are a mess. They have generally kept things close. I do think this is a good New York defense. I think they've only lost 2 games by more than 10 points. So I don't think it'll be a blowout, but no Sauce Gardner, I think, is the trend here for the Jets, and that's really concerning. I mean, God, whatever you think of Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay and Joey Porter Jr., I mean, those are good players. The Jets are going to have to send a backup out against one of those 2 guys. Look out. The comments from Woody Johnson about Justin Fields, and now Tyrod Taylor's hurt and he may have to play. I see this Jets team heading for a total disaster, just in terms of they're going to lose the locker room in addition to losing games. And yeah, I like the Bengals in this one, and I think that's a bit rich, but I think if you pick it, I'm laying the points.
All right. A bounce back I like this week. Tampa Bay. I think Baker didn't play very well against the Lions. They are a 3.5-point favorite over the Saints, and I think that they will cover that easily. I think that Baker's going to have a bounce back game. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the concern here is to lose Mike Evans. I don't know if they're getting Chris Godwin back this week or not. Who
Mhm.
did he throw the ball to? You got Sterling Shepard and Kate Otten, I guess. But I'm with you. The Saints are just so bad. And Tampa has a good defense. I see this as I don't know if it'll be a huge win, but I think this will be a fairly easy win for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I like laying the points here.
I like that too. 3.5, I don't mind giving that. So I'm good with that there. Eagles this week. So here are my thoughts. If you take the Eagles now, I'm sorry, if you take the Giants now, the Eagles are currently a 7.5-point favorite. I like taking the Giants right now after AJ Brown didn't practice again today. So I'm curious what you think about that. I would like to take that now where that 7.5 is.
Oh man, I mean, this is a game where you have to look at that last game between the teams on Thursday Night Football. That was only just a couple weeks ago, and kind of think, like, was that real or was it fake?
Hmm.
I think that's a really hard thing to do. Um, I'm personally trying to stay away from this game as much as I can,
I get
but
it.
I'm still a believer in the Eagles. I think they're a good team that is kind of waiting to come out. And I am not enamored with it. I know everybody is in love with Cam Scatterbo and Jordan and Jackson Dart. And I think they're fun players to watch, but I
Yeah.
don't think the Giants are a good team.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree on that front. Really interested to see how that one shakes out this week. Interested to see the Colts with this 14.5 points, these 14.5 points against the Titans this week. The Steelers have the Colts next week. I think that's going to be an extremely difficult matchup for them. This week, the Colts can run over the Titans. 14.5 is a lot of points, but if you're going to make me pick, I am going to go with the Colts here.
Yeah, it's a lot of points. I did see a stat today about how Jonathan Taylor has had like 20 yards above his average against the divisional opponents. He has
Huh.
really torn people up inside the division, and so that makes me feel good. Tennessee, another team that's just flailing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this will be a 2-touchdown game, and I don't want to pick games with teams as bad as the Titans, but I think if you got to pick it, you got to pick it that way.
All right. Chiefs with a big one this week. 11.5-point favorite over Washington. The Commanders at this point have a backup offense trotting out there. That reason I do like the Chiefs. Again, another huge spread. But I like Kansas City for this one.
I'm going to go the other way here. I think the Chiefs have
Okay.
shown a troubling tendency over the last 2 years, especially early in the season when the stakes are kind of low, to play with their food a little bit. I'm not saying they're going to lose to the Washington Commanders, but especially like an NFC game that doesn't really matter that much. I can kind of see Kansas City sleepwalking through a part of this before they come alive in the fourth quarter, score 2 touchdowns, and win pretty easily. I just don't know if they're going to cover easily. I think I'll take the Commanders here.
All right. And I don't think we can bet this one now, but just getting started. Thursday Night Football. Vikings at Chargers. Vikings 3-point underdog. And I'm going to go with the Vikings tonight in LA.
I'll take the Chargers. Getting Joe Alt back, I think, is a big deal. And I think they're a team that's better than their results have been lately. Vikings, I'm not sure what's going on with that team. Carson Wentz doesn't seem like the answer, but they're dragging their feet about JJ McCarthy. I don't know. I'll take the Chargers at home.
Do you have that secret sauce tip that you had for last week? You said you were going to give us a little tip here earlier in the show.
For the Steelers and Packers. Yeah, I've got that. Are we ready to go there now?
We are ready to go there now. So
all right, well, go ahead and give your, well, I'll give mine because you're going to give a full pick, and I just kind of give a little tease here, but I do want to give this part of it because I think it matters. So two things here in terms of the trend, and that is Mike Tomlin as a home underdog, which the Steelers are 3.5 points.
Right.
Against the spread 21-7-3 in his
Nice.
career. And I also think, just in general, like my feelings are, Mike Tomlin does much better when he has extra time to prepare. The Steelers in a significant rest advantage against the Packers this week. And also, we've talked a lot about this trend of the Steelers losing games on Thursday Night Football. They've never won under Mike Tomlin a road divisional Thursday Night Football game, and so we've talked about that as well. But one of the, that's I guess become fairly widespread. But 7-2 after a loss in those circumstances the next week. So the get back has been very good. So I don't know. I've got two trends there. I'm not going to give my full prediction for the Steelers, but I do like Pittsburgh plus 3.5. I can give you that.
I love those numbers, and I'm so glad you brought them to the show tonight, Alan. And I again, just that feeling after a classic Tomlin loss on Thursday night, I think that the Steelers are going to give us a surprise with how good they can perform in this Sunday night game with the time that they had to prepare and another home game. Well, this time a home game, another primetime game. I'm taking the Steelers right now. It says 2.5. I'm going to take the Steelers with the points over Green Bay. I'm going to pick the Steelers to win this game. I think they're going to surprise people. And then I'm going to take the over at 44.5. I do see this potentially turning into the shootout. So I'm going to go with the over 44.5.
That feels very low to me. I mean, they were just in a 33-31 game with a team that arguably has a worse offense. I mean, I understand Green Bay has a better defense, but I'm with you on the over. I think that's pretty easy, honestly.
All right. So we're getting your full pick coming up tomorrow on Afternoon Drive. Can't wait for that. Alan, thank you for coming back to the show. Enjoyed having you back. And thank you guys all for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe.